Okay. So I thought that like I was here and you guys just couldn't see me, or like there were all these comments. So I was expecting like you're muted, you're muted, you're muted. And I am just talking away and I'm like looking at this thing going, what is going on? Where am I? I'm here. And I hit the stream, the live stream button, and then I looked at it and it didn't connect, and it says traffic is very high. Try again. Holy crap. Well, I'm going to have to save my topic again for next week, because why does this only ever happen when I have like a really good opening and then it turns to crap? Okay. So yes, I will be doing readings for people for any of the new people that have come. Um, God, can I just like go home now? Oh, wait, I am home. I will be doing readings now since I did my whole intro and it was really great. And sorry y'all missed it. Um, uh, so, yes, just let me know you would like a reading and a number from 1 to 3. All right. Hi, Denise. Marco says my hair looks great. Thanks, Marco. Okay, so there's still a couple of people here. How freaking embarrassing. I mean, I hit the. Okay. And I just looked over to get my cards and saw a big old wad of dog poop because it's raining and Raylan won't go outside and poop when it's raining. Yay me. Okay, so Yvonne, I'm going to do a number 2. Thanks, Yvonne. Okay. And Cindy, so Cindy Simpson, the new person, thank you for hanging around. This is just beyond weird. I'm probably going to delete this episode because this is just bad. Okay, Yvonne, let's see what you got going on. All right, so this is the card that came up for you. So, Yvonne, I kind of get the impression that, and the way I'm going to phrase this is that you've been kind of cranky lately. I get the impression that it seems like everything in life just has been having obstacles at this point in time. Because I want to just sit there and point to one thing, like it's this thing, but I'm feeling like it's not just this thing. So maybe I need to listen to my own advice. Maybe you need to just kind of like take a step back and breathe a little bit and let whatever this is go by and stop really trying to force it, and also know that it's just really been kind of weird, and weird is weird, and just go with it. And Yvonne said, we missed you. Thank you, Yvonne. And you know what? I don't have one Facebook person here, because my Facebook, since I'm not streaming on Facebook apparently right now, they keep putting me in restriction, 24-hour restriction. I couldn't send out invites. It's just, ugh. Okay, Miss Cindy Simpson, new. Thanks for coming to the show. And thank you so much for hanging out while I apparently was having technical difficulties. And you all are going to have to come back next week, because the topic this week was the life cycle of the narcissistic relationship. And there was just so much great information that it will be a repeat next week. Okay, so Cindy, 2 shuffles for you. Okay, let's see what the cards have for you. Okay, so that's your card. So I was going to say during the introduction, I was talking about gaslighting, but you obviously didn't hear that part. So, but last week I talked about gaslighting. So, Cindy, what I'm feeling is that, okay, so what I'm feeling for you is that there is this outside pressure around you trying to get you to do something, get you to be a certain way, get you to act in a certain way that internally you're having resistance to because you really don't want to do it. And so my comment to you is, if it's possible, honor that, honor that resistance, because I get the impression you don't want to do it. Like it's not coming from your heart. It's coming from pressure from other people wanting you to do something or wanting you to be a certain way that isn't in alignment with who you are as spirit. So if that makes sense to you, I would love to get some feedback, or if you have a follow-up question, I would be more than happy to answer it. Okay, so Veronica says all right, I'm just doing like a number one shuffle for you because, okay, so Amy, I'm going to clear, and then do a one shuffle for Veronica, Amy. Okay, that's your card for today. Okay, well, this is kind of interesting. So where I'm feeling this showing up is in your, well, two places, in kind of how you are perceiving the world and in your communication space. I'm feeling like recently, I'm just going to leave it at recently, I don't know, things have been seeming better. You've been having more gratitude. I'm feeling like you're not feeling as extended. And so it's kind of like you're feeling the blessings coming back. The words that keep coming up are gratitude, like thankfulness and gratitude. And I feel like it's been a while since you felt this way, and I think it's really great. I'm going to put a caveat here that this might be a bit short-lived, but own this, recognize this, because you can have this back. I mean, I have not seen this kind of positive energy in your space really ever. And so I see it as a really good sign that you have been working on shifting things and changing things and bringing more of the positive into your life and less of the negative, and that this energy is validation for that. But usually we self-sabotage and we mess it up. But I want you to know that this is the goal. This is where you want to go and where you want to head. So I hope that makes sense. Obviously, some feedback, would love it. All right. So Miss Amy. So you have to come back next week, Amy, because I talk about life cycles of narcissists. It was so good. Okay. So she would like a reading, please. Number 2. God, if I could just get comfortable tonight, I would be really good. Okay, Amy, a 2 shuffle for you. Okay, so that's your card. Okay, this is good. So when I look at this card, I feel like you have really been working on tapping into how things are making you feel and using that feeling as the direction you are having your life take you. And so if you go, well, should I do this? And it doesn't feel good, you're like, don't feel good, not going to do it. And it's like, well, what about this? And if it feels good, that's what you're working with. You're working with that feeling. I feel like you have been becoming increasingly neutral to whatever that feeling is. It's like you have worked really hard at moving your ego out of that space. And so what you feel is what you feel, and you're honoring that feeling and following through on that feeling. And I feel like that's taking you really in the right direction, in the direction that you've been wanting to go. Hope that makes sense. Okay. And Yvonne says, exactly. Glad I could help, Yvonne. Oh, James says I'm live on Facebook as well. Oh, there's my first Facebook person. Thanks for looking for me, James. And James, do you want a reading? Just put down at the bottom, I would like a reading and a number from 1 to 3, because that's how many times I will shuffle. And then Marco says, Rita looks like a sexy 80s pop goddess. Oh, my hair's not that great today, but oh well. But I also wasn't live for the first 25 minutes. Stupid thing. Okay. So Wendy says, I just tuned in while you were saying there were technical difficulties, and you'll repeat the topic next week. So I don't feel bad that I had a conflicting meeting. Well, I didn't have technical difficulties. The internet had technical difficulties, and apparently there was too much traffic, and I've never had that issue come up. So why would I even pay attention to it? Not muting myself or not unmuting myself, that I've done before, and so I pay attention to it. This kind of a new thing. Okay. Hey, Mary, good evening. Okay. Cindy says, yes, definitely. Makes sense. People trying to distract me with religious beliefs on how I believe in spiritual gifts and abilities. And Cindy, own your truth. I feel like, what they're saying is just, it's lessening your feelings for not your feelings for yourself, but it's making you kind of question yourself. And, on a kind of similar but different level, it's kind of hurtful because they're not respecting who you are and what you think. So, yeah. So Veronica says, yes, purging out the negative. Woohoo, Veronica. Excellent. And then Eric Rita, I'm not even going to try to say your last name, Eric. So Eric, are you a new person? I do not remember that name. And he says, thanks for these readings. And it's Rita, not Louise, or Dr. Rita, to my good friends. But if you would like a reading, just put so down below. Oh, but then he says, I'm amazing. Thank you. Jody. Hey, Jody. So Jody, I have a new format. If you would like to get a reading, all you need to do is say, I would like a reading, and offer a number from 1 to 3. And I will do a reading based on that. Okay, so Amy says, thank you. And I will definitely be here next week. Can't wait for that topic. All right, so Mary says, I would like a reading number 3, please. Okay. All right, so I'm going to come back. So Eric says, Facebook took half an hour. No, Eric, for some reason, and I don't know if it was StreamYard. I'm thinking it was StreamYard that said that they have a lot of traffic and it never connected in the beginning. And I've never had that issue before. And so I'm just talking away. And it was about 25 minutes before I started reading through the comments, because so there have been a lot of comments when I'm talking and my mic is muted and I'm done with my thing, and I look and I'm like, We can't hear you. We can't hear you. So fairly early on, I went and looked at the comments, and there wasn't the "we can't hear you, we can't hear you." There was other stuff, so I just figured they were visiting. Not that I wasn't streaming, which is weird. Anyway, okay. So Mary, she wanted number 3. So let's do the number 3. These just are not wanting to work. Okay. All right, Mary, this is your card for today. So I kind of get the impression, I mean, this one's kind of being a bit literal today, that there's somebody that you're butting heads with, that you kind of want to kill. And I'm going to say you're being a little stubborn, because I feel like what the issue is really kind of dumb, but that person kind of pisses you off. And so you're just being contrary, because they kind of piss you off. And I feel like there's part of you that's doing this because you feel like you need to hold your space and hold your power and not back down to this person, because that's what they want, is for you to back down. And so if they're truly a narcissist, which this situation kind of looks that way, then good for you for holding your boundaries and holding your space. And let me know if that makes sense for you. Okay. All right. All right. So Eric says, yes, please, number 3. All right. All right. So he says, Eric the Healer, number 3. Wow. So wasn't expecting this card, Eric the Healer. So that's your card. Interesting, interesting, interesting. So I get the impression that something's happened recently that you were a little bit humiliated by it. And you ended up having kind of pulling your energy back, so that you could kind of get out of the spotlight. Humiliated, embarrassed, whatever. Kind of like sitting here talking for 25 minutes and not knowing why there's nobody there. Anyway, I guess what I'm going to say is this too shall pass. The bigger question, and the seed I want to plant for you is, do you really care what they think? And if you do something stupid or, embarrassing, does it really matter? Because what's going to happen? You look stupid. We all look stupid sometimes or another. So Eric the Healer, let me know if that makes sense for you. So Cindy says, yes, thank you. I recently have been taking Reiki. Well, cool. Very cool. And so Jody says, 1. Okay, let me clear these cards, because you need to have like an extra good reading. And they are just like fighting with me today. Okay. Okay, so this is your card. Okay, interesting. So I get the impression that there has been stuff, something, whatever, going on in your life where you have not been content, where you haven't really been happy, where you've been feeling stuck. I don't know, this past phase. But I feel like what this card is talking about is you using that I don't want that anymore to transition it into, so where do I go from here? What's my next step? I feel like you haven't totally figured that part out. This feels pretty active right now. But I feel like, instead of sitting and lingering in the, I don't want this, you are starting to take action as to what do I need to do to change this and shift this so I can have what I do want. Let me know if that makes sense. Okay, so let's see. Okay, well, that's weird. Okay, so let's see. Eric says, last time you told me I was too serious and needed to have fun. So I did. Yay, Eric. Mary says, some of it might make sense. I'll have to pay a little closer attention. Thank you so much, Rita. You're so welcome, Mary. And then Eric says, I was class clown, so no problem. But yes, at last conference, some people didn't believe my time traveling Trump story. So, Eric, are you talking about, and I can't remember the name of the book, but the book by Baron Trump that talks about a utopian socialistic society, but then after a generation or so, they become like totally upset by that. So is that the story that you're talking about? I'm just curious because I did read that book and it was kind of interesting. All right. And Richard Johnson. Hey, Richard, thanks for coming to the show. I'm looking at the clock, we got about 15 minutes. If you would like to get a reading, please just let me know. Say I'd like a reading and offer a number from 1 through 3. And that's the number of times I will shuffle the cards on your behalf. So, okay. All right. So I don't have any new comments, but hopefully some more will come in. So again, this week I talked about the life cycle of the narcissistic relationship. And last week I talked about gaslighting and cognitive dissonance, which is part of the whole narcissistic dynamic. Okay, so Eric's here and says Trump time traveled to find me 7 years ago back in 1985 to pick my brain how to bring down the deep state. Well, that's interesting. I'm not even sure. I would have to hear a whole lot more about it. And I would love to know your ideas about bringing down the deep state, even though there's probably really not the platform for it. But, these days you can't really diss anybody because things that you didn't think were true, you find out are true. And I don't know, it makes you go, is this really the world that I was brought up in? And it offers so much cognitive dissonance for most of us. It's Deb. Hey, Deb Pickner. Okay, so Richard says he would like a reading and he would like number 2. And then we got Pat right behind that. Hey, Pat. All right, Richard, and we're doing 2. Okay. And that's your card. Okay. So one of the things that you're showing me is that, and you have this kind of energetic thing going on. So I hope you know what the word chakras are, because this will make a whole lot more sense. So one of the things that you're showing me is that you have been, and I'm going to say relaxing, releasing, grounding via the first chakra. And it is setting up this energy flow in your body. One of the places that I really feel like it's affecting is your third chakra, which is in your stomach area, which controls your ability to use your power and your energy for yourself or with other people. And I feel like that's calming down, that's slowing down. You know, based on what I'm seeing, I kind of get the impression that you're always going, you know, either physically or your mind is always going, or there's always worry and rumination going on inside of you. There's something that's always active. And I feel like this ability, this new ability to let go is calming all of that down. You know, so congratulations on that. And I'll bet you're feeling a bit better. So Richard, if that makes sense to you, or if you have a follow-up question, please post that below. All right, so Pat's here, and she said that she would like number 1. Okay. All right, Pat, let's see what you got going on. All right, and that's your card for the day. So what you're telling me is, you know, your body is telling me is that you are really ready for abundance to flow to you. I don't know if you've been studying law of attraction or have been trying to work with those principles, but I feel like there's this thought and this contemplative effort on how to have things work for you better, to flow through you better. You know, I feel like there's some frustration, you know, why things aren't working. You know, I think paying attention to the negative thinking, you know, this is something we've talked about on this show a lot, you know, how our negative thinking kind of honks things up. And actually, there was an episode that I did like a month ago, maybe a month or so ago, where I talk about the law of attraction. You know, so maybe check out, and you're on YouTube, and I think I put in there law of attraction. You know, check out the archives and listen to that episode because it might give you some more insights, I hope. Because you're ready. You are ready. You're just not sure how to get there. So if that makes sense, if you have any questions or comments about that, I would love the feedback. Okay, and so, all right, let me click the next one. Lisa Kelly. Hi, Lisa Kelly. And she would like number 2. All right. Not a good card. You know, I did a reading for my chiropractor's wife, and like 5 kind of really yucky cards turned up, and it turned out to be a great reading because none of it was about her. All right, Lisa, so let's see what this has to say for you, if anything. So Lisa, I'm kind of getting the impression that you're having some bad brain right now. And it's okay to have bad brain. And I don't get the impression that this is like a normal thing for you. You know, so sometimes when we can't get it to move and we can't get it to shift, those are the times that we really need to just love ourselves that much more, because it's kind of like the weather. It will pass and it will change in time. You might want to, and this may or may not work at this point in time, you know, ask your higher self, you know, what's the lesson I'm supposed to be learning here? why did I get here in the first place, or what can I do to not come back here again? Because you maybe can't change the situation that it got activated, but you can sit there and work on strategies to not be activated by the same thing down the road. Let me know if that makes sense to you. As you know, I always love feedback. It's one thing doing a reading for somebody over the phone, and it's totally, a very similar thing doing a reading for someone in person. But doing readings, especially back to back to back to back to a computer screen, you just don't really know how weird this is. So that's why I really appreciate feedback from you guys. So any commentary would be great. Okay, so this is a reading for Ricky, who I don't know if he's watching, but here's a reading for Ricky. But I'm going to clear these cards really good. All right. So a number 3 for Ricky. Love is in the air. Okay, let's see. Interesting. Okay, so he maybe wouldn't own this, and he probably isn't appreciating me saying this out loud in front of all these people online. But I get the impression that one of the things that he's been working on, whether on a conscious level or not on a conscious level, is really working on loving himself more. Validating who he is, validating what he wants. Starting to have and express boundaries. Well, what about me? Instead of not really having himself be part of the equation. But I just feel like there's this shift going on inside, where, another word for, their self-love, their self-worth, self-esteem, they're all kind of intricately interrelated with each other. But I feel like that's all shifting. And actually I'm going to add this and kind of getting back to where he used to be. And I know that makes sense. So again, Jody, if that makes sense for Ricky, or Ricky, if you're there, Ricky, if you're there, hey, Ricky, some feedback would be perfect if that makes sense to you. Okay, so let's see. So Eric says, I was the whistleblower who gave Jesse Ventura the FEMA camp information on coffin liners. I remember that episode. I totally remember that episode. And then Alex Jones went on about that for forever. And Eric says, DM me I'll give you my number. Hey, Don, glad you could make it. All right, so John Candy, I'm assuming not the TV actor, said he would like a reading number 2. Okay, John. Okay, so you got what's called a mask card, which says that there's something going on that you're either not paying attention to, not looking at, your energy is blocked. And what I do is I pull cards until I feel the energy has cleared. And you kind of got a lot going on here. Okay, so all of these cards were sitting underneath the card that I felt is the outcome, the energy that's underneath all of it. Okay, John, let's see. See, I wish there was more time because I have a question for you, John. But I get the impression that you're really a sensitive kind of guy in the general sense of the word. No, in the empathic sense of the word, I get the impression that you're a sensitive guy. But I feel like you have spent, and I got to like pick these back up, years covering that energy up. You know, the question I have is that starting to open back up for you? Is that sensitivity starting to show itself? I know that you shut it down because it was really uncomfortable for you, and it wasn't safe. But I feel like it's different now, you know, and you can allow that energy to come in and not be overwhelmed by it as much or too much. So good job, you know, but that's what's going on. So John, especially you, John, I would love to get some feedback. Okay, so I'm just going to scroll through. Our time is up for today. And so Jody said, yes, he is. And then Elsbeth awake. Dr. Rita, I want to thank you. A while you suggested to color in a circle on paper and put it in the entrance to my cubicle. I remember that. To ward off my coworkers' negative energy, and that has totally worked. Wow. You think that is the weirdest thing on the planet to do, but it always works. Always works. Okay. Anyway, for the people that came in really late and wanting readings, I am so sorry that I am not going to be able to get to you today. You're just going to have to come back next week because I will be talking about the life cycle of the narcissistic relationship, and hopefully I'll get online and you'll be able to hear it and all that good stuff. You know, but if you've gotten a reading from me, if you've been hearing me giving readings to other people, and you know, you have a health related issue going on, if you have stuff going on in your life, if you need to get some deeper insights, you know, work through some trauma, talk about somebody else. Ooh, did I say that out loud? You know, please visit my website, soulhealer.com, and drop me a line to set up a time for a private consultation. You can find all of my books there. Dang, it was me all along. The Dysfunctional Dance of the Empath and Narcissist, E.T. Chronicles, Stepping Out of Eden, Avoiding the Cosmic 2x4, Dark Angels, and The Power Within, all on that website. While you're there, please don't forget to sign up for my newsletter, and you'll get reminded of this show every Thursday morning. And again, if you want to participate in the show, there's two possibilities. You can go to Facebook, Dr. Rita Louise -live. The easiest way, especially if you're listening to this in the as a download, go to Just Energy Radio on YouTube. That's Just Energy Radio, 7 p.m. Central, Thursday night, 7 p.m. Central. Click on that live link and you'll be able to participate. You'll be able to join the chat room, have fun, get a reading, and hang out. Anyway, guys, until next week, I'm Dr. Rita Louise. This is Thursday Night Live. I will see you all next week. Until then, be blessed.